final elasticity we will look at is the price elasticity of supply. The price elasticity of supply measures the changes in the quantity of the good or service that changes in response to changes in the price of the good or service. The general formula for calculating the price elasticity of supply is calculating the percentage change in the quantity supply divided by the percentage change in price. A more useful formula is Q2 minus Q1 divided by Q1 divided by the quantity of P2 minus P1 divided by P1. The S is in the formula indicate that these quantities and prices are related to supply. There are three types of price elasticity of supply. Elastic price elasticity means that the price elasticity of supply is greater than 1, and small changes in price will cause a large increase in the quantity supplied. Unit elasticity of supply means that the price elasticity of supply is equal to 1, and an increase in price of the good will cause an equal increase in the quantity supplied. Inelastic supply means the price elasticity of supply is less than 1, and an increase in price of the good will cause only a small increase in the quantity supplied. The procedure for calculating the price elasticity of supply is 1. Write down the formula for calculating the price elasticity of supply. 2. Write P1 next to the first price listed in the problem. Write Q next to the first quantity listed in the problem. 4. Write P2 next to the second price listed in the problem, and Q2 next to the second quantity in the problem. 5. Substitute in the values for P1, Q1 into the formula, and substitute the values for P2 and Q2. 6. Subtract Q1 from Q2. 7. Subtract P1 from P2. Divide the difference of Q1 and Q2 by Q1. Divide the difference of P1 and P2 by P1. Divide the results of steps 8 and by the step 9. Interpret the result. Let's look at an example of calculating the price elasticity of supply. Vladimir is a stock analyst who watches the oil industry. He's curious to know what will happen to the quantity of oil supply if the price of oil increases. Initially, the price of oil is $75 per barrel, and the amount traded is 210 barrels. The price of the barrel of oil increases to $90 per barrel, and the quantity supply increases to 250 barrels. The first step is to write down the problem for calculating the elasticity of supply. Next, identify the information in the problem we need to substitute into the formula. The first piece of information is the starting price, 75. So write PS1 to indicate this is the first price. Next, we encounter the starting quantity, 210 barrels of oil. So label the 210 barrels of oil as QS1. Next number we encounter is the increased price of oil, $90. So label it PS2. The next number in the problem is 250 barrels, so it will be QS2. After locating all the data and label it, substitute the values into the formula. Starting with PS1, locate PS1 in the problem and in the formula. Since PS1 is associated with the value $75, replace or substitute $75 in the formula for PS1. Once you've loaded QS1 in the problem, you will notice that the associated value is 210 barrels. Next, replace QS1 in the formula with a value associated with QS1 in the problem, 210 barrels. Next, move on to the next item in the formula, PS2. Locate PS2 in the problem and in the formula. Once you have located PS2 in the problem, you will notice that it is $90 per barrel. Next, locate PS2 in the formula and replace it with $90. Next, locate QS2 in the problem and in the formula. Notice that 250 barrels of oil are associated with QS2. Next, locate QS2 in the problem and replace or substitute 250 barrels into the formula. Once all the numbers have been substituted into the formula, the process of calculating the elasticity can begin. First calculation is to accept the two quantities. In this example, subtract 210 from 250, which gives 40 barrels. The second calculation is to subtract the two prices. In this example, subtract $75 from 90, which gives 15. The next calculation is to divide the two quantities. In this example, divide 40 by 210 barrels of oil, which gives 1.9 or 1900ths, rounded off to 2 digits. As a side note, this number represents the percent change in the quantity due to the increase in price. Next, divide the two prices. In this example, divide 15 by 75, which gives 0.2, rounded off to 2 digits. As a side note, this number represents the percent change in price. Next, divide the percent change in quantity, the top number or the numerator, by the percent change in price, the bottom number or the denominator. The result of the division gives 95 hundredths or 0.95, or the percent in the quantity per 1% increase in the price. So the elasticity of supply of oil in this example is 95 hundredths or 0.95. The answer means that when the price of oil increases by 1%, suppliers are willing to supply 95 hundredths percent more oil, everything else being equal. However, the problem is not quite finished because the number needs to be interpreted. Before starting on the interpretation to the numeric answers to the problem, let's take a minute to review the three interpretations of the price elasticity of supply. There are three types of price elasticity. The elastic supply means that the price elasticity of supply is greater than 1, and a small increase in the price of good will cause a large change in the quantity supply. Unit elasticity of supply means that the price elasticity of supply is equal to 1, and an increase in the price of the good will cause an equal increase in the quantity supply. Inelastic supply means that the price elasticity of supply is less than 1, and an increase in the price of the good will cause a small increase in the quantity supply. As you may remember, the elasticity of supply was 95 hundredths or 0.95. So we'll take 0.95 or 95 hundredths and compare it with each of the criteria. Let's check to see if 95 hundredths is price elastic. In order for 95 hundredths to be price elastic, it must be greater than 1. Since 95 hundredths is less than 1, it does not meet the criteria for being price elastic. Let's see if 95 hundredths is unit elastic. In order for 95 hundredths to be unit elastic, it must be equal to 1. Since the price elasticity of supply is 95 hundredths is less than 1, it does not meet the criteria for being elastic. Finally, let's see if 95 hundredths is price inelastic. In order for the 95 hundredths to be price elastic, it must be less than 1. Since 95 hundredths is less than 1, it does meet the criteria for being price inelastic. So the price elasticity